Good morning, guys. This is Nick with Port City Pulls, and this is Presents Cape Fear Coffee and Comics. Cheers. For today's episode, I'm going to be reading the first two chapters of Bug Wars Book 1, a highly recommended title by Jason Aaron and Mahmud Asrar. And yeah, I've just had this recommended to me multiple times, and I finally am getting around to reading the trade. I'll give you the thoughts on each chapter as I get through this. I'll do the first two this morning, and hopefully I'll get through the rest of this evening, and then give you my thoughts on the entire run and the next video. But thanks for joining me. Let's have some good coffee. And then read some comics. Alright guys, so I read the first chapter of Jason Aaron's Bug Wars. So let's talk about it. So book 1 is called Lost in the Yard, which is really, you get an introduction to the human family, the mites, which are essentially the humanoids that are bug size, that are part of the Yard, which is essentially the universe they live in, or their whole at least kind of geographical part of the world that encompasses the kingdoms that we're going to really explore. But this is a really cool story. I mean, a concept period, because it really it reads like a fantasy, like a really good, your typical like fantasy read, where there's kind of like bands of different groups and kingdoms, and there's warring factions, and kind of like people with swords and axes, and kind of that feels like a mythical tale. Anyway, when you open up the trade, this is really cool. You get a picture of what is the total kind of geographical place that all of this is taking place, and which is really just a house. It's the yard, the surrounding fence and woods and ditch and road, but this is a very expansive landscape when you get down to that bug level, in the different areas, like where the wasp nests are, where the spiders are in the hanging ferns. The essentially the lawnmower creates these wind storms for them, or they refer to it as a storm. Ant hills, these are all different kingdoms. The brush pile, which is a massive cultural hub, it seems, for the beetle riders. And the burnt place. Some of these places I haven't read yet the story, but and then of course the Slaymaker house. Slaymaker is the last name of the humans that live here, which is a mom and single mom and her two sons, Sydney, which is the older son, Sid, and SJ or Slade, which is the younger son. The father has passed away, and the older son has some trauma from finding his dad, and the younger son seems like he's very much like his father. His father was an entomologist. Actually, the intro is written by an actual entomologist, but yes, the title or character Slade is got that. He's got that entomologist curiosity of bugs, and even has some pet bugs, but we'll get into that first chapter in a second. So book 1, Lost in the Yard, the introduction, written by entomologist Adrian Smith, makes a really good comparison about the bugs in the superhero world, and even he mentions how Siegel and Schuster in Action Comics 1 even kind of made the same comparison of kind of this comparable strength of bugs, like how an ant lifting a twig or a leaf, how like if you were to apply that to humans, what sort of strength level that would mean. So it's kind of like saying, like we're seeing into this superhero world within our own world. Then as we kind of begin the story, it really opens up like a fantasy novel, which is really cool. The older brother Sid, the younger brother, which, speaking of, as you get into this first chapter 1, The House of Slaymaker, which really gives you a good background of not just the human family, but kind of what's going on as far as conflict between mites. You got the people that are living amongst the ants, the ant kingdoms, and then you get the people that are living amongst the beetles, the rye beetles, which seems like a massive kingdom, at least a single location kingdom. Let me jump forward to the family, so I'll talk a little bit more about that. So, but yeah, you do get a kind of an explanation of where the different kingdoms are, wasp nests, and where the honeysuckles, bees are, and that's kind of unfortunate. But this brush pile where there's a lot of beetles, the webbing that's around these old ferns where spiders are. But then you get this intro into the family, and you meet the mom, you meet Sid or Sydney, the older son, who hates bugs, has a lot of trauma. Like I said, he found his father passed away, and his father evidently passed away because doing something, dealing with his study of insects that it seems that he was doing here. So a lot of Sid's trauma relates back to their home. And this is the younger son, Slade, and he is our character. This guy here is clearly going to be this guy here. I've only read this first chapter, but I will tell you, it's amazing. His kind of best friend is this rhino-looking beetle right here, Pack. But anyway, some events transpire with the mom going to work and working one of her jobs, and there's some conflict between the two brothers, and ultimately it leads to Slade finding a relic that then takes him down to mite size. So I can't wait to read the second chapter here and see what all they got into, or what all Slade gets into. I mean, I will say this story is so immersive already. But I'm going to read this second chapter now and let you know what I think about that. Okay, guys, I just finished reading Chapter 2, Ain't No God in Swarm City. And our character, Slade, finds himself not really knowing what the heck's going on, but also held captive by the beetle people, along with a lady from the, I guess, a spider witch, or whatever you want to call them. Kind of a warrior or centurion, an anturion, from one of the ant colonies, as well as another, I think maybe, I don't know if it's like another beetle rider or something like that from another community. But they're all kind of taken to this, I forget what the heck you call it, the blood hole, after we do get a kind of a good picture of what all takes place in Swarm City, inside of the brush pile, which is kind of like the hub, the mecca of all beetle riders. And you get to see like these different like areas that, where they go to drink, where they go to have fun, their place of worship, which is really interesting because there's like some little figurines that they're essentially worshiping like statues. But really cool just picture of the inside that city. But ultimately the captives are being taken to the blood hole so that they can be forced to fight for their lives for the entertainment of the Beetle people. And I guess there's going to be some sort of supposedly truce between the different kingdoms to fight some foe of that kind of unites all of the bug people. But it's just really interesting. I mean, you get to see that these different mites or mites, humanoids, take on the characteristics of kind of the bug communities that they live in or the bugs that they're around. Really interesting. It's you do get to see that there's some mythos or some kind of knowledge of the House of Slaymaker, which is probably means that the dad had been in this world previously. So I'm very curious to see where that goes. And I don't want to give away anything more, but man, can't wait to read more of this. And thanks for watching, guys. This has been another Coffee and Comics. Tune in next time, and I'll give you my thoughts on how this book 1 concluded. All right, Nick from Port City presents Cape Fear Coffee and Comics. Talk to you guys next time. Have a great day.